Not all new businesses are startups. When we think of startups, we think of Uber, Ola, or Dropbox because they have something special that other businesses don't. So, what's that special sauce that makes a startup a startup? Let's find out. Precisely, a startup is any business that grows fast, solves a problem, disrupts the industry, and operates under extreme uncertainty. You might think that this is what most businesses do, but there's a difference. Startups target markets that are largely untapped. They do this either by solving a problem that no one has ever solved before or by providing a solution that's different and more acceptable. Take Uber for example. The company capitalized on repressed demands and brought cab booking directly to the smartphones, a problem that no one had ever solved before. Doing so made the company's business model to be disruptive, yet it brought uncertainty as to what it had to offer had a high chances of getting rejected. Amazon is another great example of a pioneer startup. The company started in the late 90s as an online marketplace for books. The market opportunity that Jeff Bezos tapped was huge. Internet usage was rising, the books were already in demand, and internet commerce hadn't started yet. Of course, there were doubts if people would ever buy stuff online or would conduct transactions over an electronic device. But here's what Jeff said.
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
Where did you get an idea for Amazon.com?
Well, 3 years ago, I was in New York City working for a quantitative hedge fund when I came across the startling statistic that web usage was growing at 2,300% a year. So I decided I would try and find a business plan that made sense in the context of that growth. And I picked books as the first best product to sell online, which making a list of like 20 different products that you might be able to sell. And books were great as the first best because books are incredibly unusual in one respect, and that is that there are more items in the book category than there are items in any other category by far. Music is number 2. There are about 200,000 active music CDs at any given time. But in the book space, there are more than 3 million different books worldwide active and in print at any given time across all languages. More than 1.5 million in English alone. So when you have that many items, you can literally build a store online that couldn't exist any other way. And that's important right now because the web is still an infant technology. Basically right now, if you can do things using a more traditional method, you probably should do them using the more traditional method.
Not all startups are Amazon, but all startups do share a common characteristic feature. In the words of Paul Graham, the co-founder of Y Combinator, a startup is a company designed specifically to grow fast. There is a popular belief that a startup's growth chart looks like a hockey stick, with an initial phase of slow or no growth where the startup struggles to find its footing, followed by a period of rapid growth where the startup has found its product market fit, and the growth hack. A startup also has other characteristics that separates it from an idea, a small business, or a big corporation. It is a registered entity. Any unregistered entity is just an idea or a project. It is in business for 5 years or less. Now, this is a condition imposed by the Government of India for startups operating specifically in India. Besides this, a startup is no more a startup if it witnesses 100 million or more of annual revenue, 500 or more employees, or if it is worth more than $2.5 billion. That is, Oyo, Uber, Dropbox, or Slack that do come to your mind when you think of startups are not actually startups anymore. Startups can also be categorized into 3 different types: scale-ups, unicorns, and decacorns. Scale-ups are high-growth startups that have average annualized growth of 20% or more in the past 3 years. This growth can be measured in the terms of number of employees or turnover. Unicorns are startups having a valuation of 1 billion or more. Decacorns, on the other hand, have a valuation of 10 billion or more. Currently, there are over 500 unicorns and 14 decacorns, with Didi Chuxing, Uber, and SpaceX topping the list. Startup valuation is a topic in itself. It is usually done when an external investor invests in your startup and asks for an equity. But before you reach that stage, you need to be sure that the business that you're working on is a startup. To do that, you need to follow this checklist. Make sure you're solving a real problem of a defined target audience. Most entrepreneurs think that they are solving a problem and they are developing a product that's required in the market. But in reality, what they're doing is just developing a product which has no demand. That's not what startups are all about. Next, you need to be disruptive. Now, disruptive innovation is when you cater to an untapped or an unserved market segment, developing your own market and value network with no direct competitors. In simplest terms, you do something that no one has ever done before and develop your own market. That's what Uber did, and that's why it never had competitors in its initial years. Now, if you succeed in solving a real problem with your disruptive solution, you would automatically be working in an unpredictable environment. That will make your venture a startup.